Imagine a world where noise never stops. Notifications buzzing, conversations overlapping, the constant hum of life pulling your attention in every direction. Now picture stepping away from it all, even for a short while. Silence. Stillness. Just you, with your thoughts. It might sound intimidating at first, but this is where the power of solitude truly begins. When you spend time alone, something remarkable happens. The masks you wear for the world start to fall away. You no longer have to perform, to please, to keep up. You get to meet the most authentic version of yourself, the one that often hides beneath the chaos of daily life. Solitude isn't about being lonely. It's about learning to be enough for yourself, to sit in your own presence, and feel whole. In that silence, your mind clears. The problems that felt overwhelming suddenly appear smaller, more manageable. Ideas you never noticed before begin to emerge. It's in solitude that some of the greatest thinkers, artists, and leaders throughout history found their inspiration. They understood that silence doesn't weaken you, it strengthens you. It doesn't take you away from the world, it prepares you to return to it more grounded, more aware, more alive. But solitude isn't just about finding answers. It's about asking better questions. Who am I when no one is watching? What do I really want? What brings me peace, joy, purpose? These are questions only silence can reveal. And the more comfortable you become with being alone, the more confident you'll feel when you're surrounded by others. You begin to realize that solitude is not an escape from life. It's a return to yourself. It's a space where healing takes place, where clarity rises, where you learn to listen not to the world, but to your own heart. The truth is, when you discover yourself in silence, you gain a strength that noise could never give you. So the next time the world feels heavy, when your mind feels crowded, when everything outside demands your attention, give yourself the gift of solitude. Step into the quiet. Not to run away, but to finally come home. Because in the end, silence is not empty. It's full of answers, waiting for you to hear them. And in that quiet, you notice the small things you've been overlooking. The rhythm of your own breathing, the way your thoughts rise and fall like waves, the simple beauty of just existing without rushing. You start to see how much of your life has been spent in reaction, responding to messages, expectations, noise, without ever pausing to choose how you truly want to live. The silence becomes a mirror. Sometimes it shows you parts of yourself you've been avoiding, the fears, the doubts, the regrets. But even those reflections are gifts, because only when you see them can you begin to heal them. Other times, the mirror reveals your hidden strengths, the passions you've buried, the dreams that never had space to speak. In solitude, time slows down. What felt urgent starts to lose its grip. You realize not everything needs your immediate response. You learn patience with yourself, and patience with life. It's in those moments that you discover how much power you've been giving away to the noise, and how much you can reclaim by choosing stillness. The world outside doesn't change, but you do. You begin to carry the calm you've found in solitude back into conversations, into decisions, into challenges. Suddenly, you're not just reacting anymore, you're creating. You're moving with intention, because you know who you are beneath the noise. And the more you return to that silence, the more you crave it, not as an escape, but as nourishment. Like water for your soul, like sunlight for your mind, solitude becomes a source of energy that no distraction could ever provide. And as you spend more time in that space, you begin to notice how silence reshapes the way you experience the world. A simple walk feels different. You hear the crunch of your footsteps on the ground, the whisper of wind brushing past your skin, the way light filters through the trees as if it were painting just for you. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when you are fully present, and presence is the gift solitude keeps giving. You start to realize that the quiet doesn't demand anything from you. It doesn't judge, it doesn't expect, it doesn't rush. It just holds you, giving you the space to be exactly as you are. And in that space, you find freedom. Freedom from comparison, freedom from constant stimulation, freedom from the endless cycle of needing to do more, be more, prove more. The silence also sharpens your awareness. You begin to sense the subtle shifts in your own emotions, The way certain thoughts rise again and again, the way your body signals what it needs. It's like tuning into a frequency that was always there but drowned out by noise. Suddenly, you're listening, not just hearing. You're seeing, not just looking. You're feeling, not just passing through life on autopilot. With time, solitude becomes less about being alone and more about being aligned. Aligned with your values, your truth, your inner rhythm. You discover that stillness is not the absence of movement, it's the presence of meaning. Each time you return to that silence, you gather a little more strength, a little more clarity, a little more trust in yourself. And then, when you step back into the world of noise, you carry a new kind of power. A calm that cannot be shaken by chaos, a clarity that guides you through uncertainty, a depth that others can sense even before you speak. And as that calm settles deeper, you begin to notice how your relationship with others changes too. You're no longer rushing to fill every silence with words, no longer afraid of pauses in conversations. Instead, you allow space, and in that space people feel more seen, more heard, more valued. Solitude teaches you that connection doesn't always come from speaking, it often comes from listening, from presence, from simply being there without distraction. You start to see how much stronger your choices become when they're not made from noise. Decisions that once felt impossible now carry a sense of direction, because you're no longer guessing at what you want. You've heard it clearly in the quiet. The confusion fades, the constant second-guessing loosens its grip, and what's left is a trust in your own inner compass. The beauty is that this practice of solitude doesn't need grand gestures. It doesn't require climbing mountains or disappearing into the wilderness. It can be as simple as sitting alone in your room for a few minutes without your phone, taking a walk without headphones, or closing your eyes and breathing deeply before the day begins. These small moments accumulate, and over time, they transform the way you carry yourself through life. You begin to notice how much lighter you feel when you're not constantly seeking validation outside yourself. The approval, the likes, the recognition, they lose their hold, because you've already found acceptance in your own company. That kind of freedom is rare, and once you taste it, you begin to crave it more than the noise you used to depend on. Even challenges feel different through the lens of solitude. When difficulties arise, instead of being swept away by panic or fear, you return to that silence inside you. You breathe, you observe, you remember that clarity comes not from rushing but from pausing. And in that pause, answers surface, not forced, but revealed. And as you allow those answers to rise, you notice how naturally creativity begins to flow. The silence that once felt empty now feels like a canvas, waiting for your imagination to paint across it. Ideas appear in the stillness, fresh, unforced, and alive. You find yourself thinking in ways you never could when surrounded by constant stimulation. The mind, given room to breathe, uncovers brilliance that was always hidden beneath the noise. You begin to see how solitude isn't about withdrawing from life, but about entering it more fully. Every detail sharpens, the taste of food, the warmth of sunlight, the subtle emotions flickering across someone's face. You're no longer drifting through moments, you're inhabiting them. It's as though time itself bends, stretching long enough for you to savor instead of simply survive. And the more you experience this, the more you start to recognize how silence deepens your resilience. The world's pace may continue to quicken, responsibilities may pile higher, but you carry within you an anchor that steadies everything. No matter what comes, you can return to that place inside yourself, that quiet space where strength gathers and fear loses its weight. Even your relationship with ambition changes. Instead of chasing endlessly for more, you begin to move with intention. Solitude teaches you that achievement means little if it costs your peace, and that the greatest progress often begins not with action, but with stillness. You realize that silence doesn't slow you down, it aligns you, so every step forward carries more purpose. And as these truths take root, you notice how solitude softens you in some ways and strengthens you in others. Softer in your patience, in your compassion, in your ability to sit with life as it is. Stronger in your boundaries, in your clarity, in your refusal to be pulled away from what matters most. It is a balance only silence can teach, and once it begins shaping you, it never really stops. And as you live more in that balance, the way you move through your days begins to shift. The rush doesn't grip you as tightly, the noise doesn't demand as much of your energy. You find yourself noticing the pauses between moments, the spaces that once slipped by unnoticed. Even waiting in line, sitting in traffic, or walking alone feels different, because instead of restlessness, you feel presence. Those small fragments of silence turn into opportunities, gentle reminders to return to yourself. You start to sense how solitude is not something separate from life, but something woven into it, hidden in plain sight. The quiet morning before the world awakens, the hush of night when everything slows, the brief stillness in the middle of a busy day, all of these become invitations. And when you accept them, you discover that solitude doesn't take you away from living, it deepens the way you live. The more often you embrace it, the more natural it feels to trust yourself. Choices that once needed endless outside opinions now feel clear within you. You don't need constant reassurance, because you've already found certainty in the stillness. That trust creates a confidence that isn't loud, but unshakable, a confidence built not on external approval but on inner alignment. And with that confidence, your relationships shift as well. You show up more fully, not needing to take from others, but ready to share from a place of wholeness. You give without losing yourself, love without clinging, listen without distraction. People feel the difference, even if they can't explain it, because solitude has shaped you into someone rooted, someone steady, someone at peace. And every time you return to that silence, it feels like stepping into a wellspring, a place that refills what the world drains away. You begin to realize that solitude isn't just a practice you turn to when overwhelmed. It's a way of being that sustains you, a rhythm that carries you, a truth that keeps revealing more each time you enter it. And as you keep returning to that well of silence, something inside you begins to change permanently. You realize that solitude is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's the ground beneath your feet, the compass that guides you, the quiet strength that no one else can give you. Every time you step into that stillness, you step closer to yourself, and the more you know yourself, the freer you become. That's the power of solitude. It doesn't just transform your mind, it transforms your life. If this message spoke to you, if you felt even a spark of recognition in these words, then carry that silence with you and let it shape your days. And if you'd like to continue this journey with me, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who might need a reminder of the power within stillness, and subscribe so we can keep exploring together.